And here it is. Sad day. Final video in the 4-part series. Online dating. A guy's guide to not getting scammed. LeastComicStanding. Sup. I think as I wrote this entire buttload in the beginning, by the end of it, I was so intent on sharing the core information that I left it completely devoid of any humor whatsoever. Not good. Although I do want this to be informative, the entire basis of my existence on YouTube at this point is comedy. Conundrum. Anyway, I'm going to try to just get this out of the way as painlessly as possible for you, Chappelle Show. So, technique number 4. The fourth and final technique, as I mentioned previously, applies to phone numbers. Family Guy. You can do the exact same searches for phone numbers that you can do for emails, names, and IP addresses. Consult Bearded Poindexter in video 3 for more info about that. Again, this isn't something I used to do, but after being scammed, I do it every time now. Imdra.com. If you get to the stage of exchanging phone numbers, I recommend doing a reverse lookup before even responding. Tosh.0. If you see anything that doesn't mesh, first get a second opinion. By that I mean try another site. I've noticed that some of them show incorrect or incongruent info. Futurama. If you get the same results, you can just work backwards through the other tips to see if there's any additional corroborating evidence to suggest you might be the victim of the scam game. Funny or Die. Here again, you can search your own phone number right now just so you can see what it should look like. Community channel. When I did this for the scammer's number, it showed it labeled as a landline number, but registered through a cell phone company, The Lonely Island. If it's actually a cell phone number, it won't show you personal information because cell phone owner records are not yet included in public domain. But it should show that it's registered through an actual cell phone provider, such as Verizon Wireless, Sprint PCS, some random no-name company wireless, etc. The Simpsons. There are services like Viber, which provide phone numbers that can text and call, even though they are not tied to an actual cell phone. They can be tied to a landline or just a computer or iPod with internet access. Freaky, eh? Parks and Recreation. Furthermore, and this is pretty sad, but even if you start talking to someone on the phone and they sound like a female, there are voice-changing softwares out there. Bobby Possum Cod. Now, you're suddenly thinking I'm just some conspiracy theorist and that I'm full of bull and my hippie motif is not helping my case at all. But you don't have to take my word for it. Reading Rainbow. Do a search here on YouTube for voice-changing samples. Yes, some of them still sound like the original text-to-speech robots from the 90s. But try to tell me that some of them aren't pretty convincing. The Office. I actually spent 3 whole months talking to someone on the phone, chatting for hours at a time, several nights a week. And when things stopped adding up, like there were too many slight coincidences for me to deny anymore, I then started doing my due diligence, and it was startling how intricate it all was when it finally came crashing down. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I spent weeks after that, second-guessing the evidence, racking my brain, trying to remember the order in which things were said, trying to put the whole puzzle together to figure out how I could have been duped so well. Archer. In hindsight, they did put a lot of effort into it, and in the end, I guess I was so desperate to feel like I'd found someone who seemed so perfect that I actually overlooked the red flags just to enjoy the fantasy. Nigahiga. Fantasies are always better than reality. As a final note, 30 Rock, keep in mind that there really are plenty of fish in the sea, and internet dating should feel more like entertainment than a real dedicated search. Otherwise, you'll wind up falling for someone because no one else has come along, and they may or may not take you for a loop. Mad TV. It may take a little longer to find a quality match, but it will be well worth it in the end. SNL. So, I hope you've enjoyed this series and that it'll keep you safe, weeds. If you have any other tips you want to add, please comment them down below. Otherwise, thanks so much for sticking with me through this series. It's been interesting. I do appreciate you watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, love, peace. =3.